Michael Jake was the kind of man people barely noticed. He worked as a maintenance worker in the small town of Millfield, kept to himself, and lived in a modest house on the outskirts. But inside that house, hidden behind a locked door in his basement, was a grotesque gallery of his darkest deeds. For years, Michael had been taking lives, and what he valued most was the moment before death, the raw, final look in his victim's eyes. He captured those moments on film, preserving them like prized possessions. Each photograph was carefully stored in a wooden box, stacked neatly in chronological order. It wasn't about the killing for Michael. It was about the preservation of that moment. He was an artist in his own twisted mind, and his collection was his masterpiece. But his perfect little world started to crack when Noah Carter moved to town. Noah was a family man, moving to Millfield for a quieter life with his wife, Emily, and their teenage daughter, Sophie. To the townsfolk, he was just another face, polite, a little distant, but harmless. What they didn't know was that Noah had once been an operative for the CIA, specializing in intelligence gathering and tracking. After a mission went south, he had decided it was time to leave that life behind. Millfield was supposed to be his sanctuary. Then Sophie, his daughter, came home one day with a photograph. "Dad, I found this outside near the woods." She handed it to him, unaware of its horror. It was a picture of a woman, her face frozen in terror, her eyes locked onto something just outside the frame. Something about the angle, the lighting, made Noah's stomach twist. He had seen images like this before, in classified files, in case reports. This wasn't just a random lost photograph. It was something much worse. Noah's instincts kicked in. He began asking questions, subtly probing around town, but no one seemed to know anything about missing people. Then he visited the local police department. The sheriff, a man named Duncan Myers, looked at the photo and shook his head. "We don't have any reports of missing women matching this," Myers said, rubbing his chin. "Where'd you say your daughter found this?" "Near the woods." The sheriff sighed. "Probably some sick joke. We get weird drifters sometimes. If I hear anything, I'll let you know." Noah didn't buy it. Something was off. That night, he stayed up researching. He cross-referenced old news articles, missing persons reports, and even looked into the town's history. There were disappearances, quiet ones, over the years, mostly people who had no close ties. Drifters, hitchhikers, people passing through. Not enough to cause alarm. The next night, Noah decided to do some investigating of his own. He retraced his daughter's steps near the woods and found more photographs, half buried under leaves. There were at least a dozen, each showing a different face, each frozen in the same moment of terror. This wasn't just a lost photo. This was a pattern. Noah's training told him to stay quiet, to gather more evidence, but his instincts as a father told him otherwise. His daughter had stumbled onto something dangerous. And if the killer knew, she might be in danger. He started watching people around town. That's when he noticed Michael Jake. The man had an unsettling stillness about him. He wasn't exactly unfriendly, but he had no real connections to anyone either. Noah followed him, quietly at first, tracking his routine, noting when he left home, when he returned. One night, Noah broke into Michael's basement. The stench hit him first, a mix of chemicals and something else, something foul. Then he saw the box. His hands trembled as he opened it. Photograph after photograph, faces frozen in the moment of death, neatly labeled with dates and locations. Then he saw the most recent one. It was Sophie. His daughter's face, staring wide-eyed, her expression locked in fear. But there was something different about it, something he hadn't seen in the other pictures. Sophie wasn't dead. The angle was wrong. It was a staged shot. A warning. Noah turned, his instincts firing too late. A heavy object slammed against his head, and he crumpled to the floor. When he came to, he was tied to a chair, his vision blurry. Michael stood in front of him, watching with a small, amused smile. "You're not from around here, are you?" Michael said, flipping through his photographs. "People here don't ask questions. They don't poke around. But you had to be different." Noah's mind raced. He needed to buy time. "You keep these as trophies," he said, stalling. "Why? The moment of fear? The power?" Michael chuckled. "It's not about power. It's about the purity of fear. The truth in the moment. You, of all people, should understand." Michael held up Sophie's picture. "I took this from a distance. She never saw me. But she got close, and that makes her special." Noah's blood ran cold. Michael leaned in. "I thought about adding her to my collection, but I realized something. Real fear isn't just in them. It's in those who love them." He grinned. "I think I'd rather keep you instead." Noah lunged, his CIA training taking over. The chair cracked as he forced his weight forward, knocking Michael off balance. They struggled, fists flying, until Noah managed to slam Michael's head against the concrete floor. Michael groaned, dazed. Noah didn't hesitate. He grabbed the box of photographs and ran. By the time the sheriff arrived, Michael's house was empty. No sign of the killer. But the evidence Noah provided was undeniable. The photographs matched multiple missing persons cases. Michael was a ghost now, vanished. But Noah knew one thing for sure. Michael wasn't done. And he had unfinished business with Noah's family. The wind howled outside the Carter home, rattling the windows as Noah paced the living room. The photographs from Michael's collection were spread across the coffee table, their haunting images staring back at him. Michael had disappeared. The police had searched his house, found more evidence of his crimes, but no sign of the man himself. He was a ghost, a predator who had slipped away into the darkness. And now, Noah was waiting for him to come back. Emily sat on the couch, clutching Sophie's hand. "We need to leave, Noah." "I can't," Noah said. His voice was tight, controlled. "If we run, he'll find us. He enjoys the hunt." Sophie swallowed hard. "He took my picture, Dad. He was watching me." Noah clenched his jaw. "I know." The phone rang, shattering the silence. Noah snatched it up. "Hello?" A slow, measured breath came through the line. Then a voice, smooth and taunting. "You should have stayed out of it, Noah." Noah's grip tightened around the phone. "Where are you, Michael?" A low chuckle. "Closer than you think." The line went dead. Noah's heart pounded. He turned to Emily. "Pack a bag. Now." She didn't argue. She rushed upstairs with Sophie, while Noah checked his gun, his training taking over. He moved to the windows, peering outside. The street was empty. Too quiet. He grabbed his phone and dialed Sheriff Myers. "We have a problem," he said. "Michael just called me." Myers cursed. "We've been looking, but he's off the grid. I'll send a deputy your way." "No," Noah said. "I don't need a deputy. I need you to find him before he finds us." A noise came from the backyard. A soft rustling. Noah stiffened, his instincts screaming. He moved to the back door, gun raised. The porch light flickered as he stepped outside. Silence. Then, a flash of movement. Noah barely had time to duck as a figure lunged at him from the shadows. He rolled, firing a shot, but it missed. A sharp pain exploded in his ribs as a boot slammed into his side, sending him sprawling. Michael. He was here. Noah scrambled to his feet, but Michael was fast. He grabbed Noah by the throat, shoving him against the house. "You took my trophies," Michael hissed. "You think you can erase me?" Noah gritted his teeth, driving an elbow into Michael's ribs. The killer grunted, staggering back. Noah took the opening, swinging hard. His fist connected with Michael's jaw, sending him crashing to the ground. Noah raised his gun, but Michael was gone. He rolled into the darkness, disappearing into the trees. The sound of sirens filled the air as Sheriff Myers' car screeched to a stop in front of the house. The sheriff jumped out, gun drawn. "Where is he?" Noah shook his head, breathing hard. "He ran. But he'll be back." Myers' face was grim. "We need to get your family to safety." But Noah knew the truth. Michael wouldn't stop. This wasn't just a game anymore. It was personal. And Noah was done playing defense. He was going to find Michael first. And this time, he was going to end it. The storm raged outside, rain lashing against the windows of the safe house. Sheriff Myers had insisted on relocating Noah and his family, but Noah knew the truth: walls and locks wouldn't stop Michael. This wasn't just about survival. It was about ending the nightmare. Emily and Sophie were in the bedroom, barricaded inside, while Noah sat in the dark living room, gun in hand. He could feel Michael out there, waiting, watching. Then, a creak. Not the wind. Noah's grip tightened around the gun. Another creak. The back door. Noah rose slowly, his pulse steady. The moment had come. A shadow moved in the dim light of the hallway. Noah fired, once, twice. The bullets slammed into the wall as Michael darted out of sight. Then came the voice. Low. Amused. "You're slipping, Noah." A floorboard creaked behind him. Noah spun just as Michael lunged, slamming into him. The gun flew from his grip, skidding across the floor. Noah struck first an elbow to Michael's jaw, but Michael was fast. He tackled Noah, driving him into the wall. The impact sent pain shooting through Noah's ribs. Michael leaned in, grinning. "You can't protect them." Noah's vision blurred with rage. He drove his knee into Michael's gut, then smashed his head against Michael's nose. Blood sprayed as Michael staggered back. Noah grabbed a broken chair leg and swung. It connected with a sickening crack, sending Michael crashing to the ground. Noah didn't stop. He loomed over Michael, breathing hard. "This ends tonight." Michael chuckled through the blood. "Then do it." Noah raised the chair leg. "Dad." Sophie's voice. Noah froze. Michael's grin widened. She shouldn't have come out. Noah turned just for a second. And Michael struck. A blade flashed, slicing across Noah's side. Pain exploded as he stumbled back, clutching the wound. Michael rose, wiping blood from his mouth. "You hesitated," he whispered. A gunshot rang out. Michael jerked, his eyes widening in shock. Blood bloomed across his chest. Sophie stood behind him, Sheriff Myers' gun shaking in her hands. Michael wavered, then collapsed. Silence. Noah stumbled forward, kneeling beside Sophie. She was shaking, tears streaming down her face. "You saved us," he whispered, pulling her into a tight embrace. Sheriff Myers burst through the door, gun drawn. He took one look at Michael's lifeless body and exhaled. "It's over." But Noah wasn't so sure. Even as the storm raged outside, even as Michael's body lay still on the floor, Noah could still hear his voice in his mind. You hesitated. Noah had spent his life hunting ghosts. And tonight, he had finally slain one. But the scars would remain. Forever.